For years, when people said robot, most of us pictured a polite metal roommate doing our laundry, not a wave of layoffs and an anxious job market. But now, a company called 1X has rolled out Neo, a humanoid robot designed to do all of your household chores. Sounds exciting, but also suspicious. We've seen glossy home robot promos before that turned out to be more show than substance. So today, we're asking the only question that matters. Is this the real start of general-purpose robots in our lives? Or is it pure hype? My name is Louis, and you're watching Coin Bureau Finance. First up, I must make one thing clear. I am not a financial advisor. Nothing in this video should be considered financial advice. This is educational content meant to inform you about the coming wave of AI humanoids. And if you want to see more stuff like this, hit those like and subscribe buttons and flick that notification bell too so that you don't miss the next video. So let's get right into it with the pitch from AI and robotics developer 1X. Their Neo model is a humanoid for the home that's ready for pre-order today, and apparently it's eager to get started on all of your household chores. There are two paths to getting Neo: early access ownership for $20,000 with priority delivery, or a $4.99 per month subscription coming later. US deliveries are slated to begin in 2026. So, if nothing else, it appears there's a real product with real pricing, not just a concept video. Now, we won't beat around the bush here. In some of the promo footage, Neo moves with care, helping at mealtimes, hanging frames, sorting laundry. It's impressive at first glance. However, many online have been quick to point out Neo's limitations in more raw footage. A hands-on piece from the Wall Street Journal showed a journalist spending time with Neo and its assistant. That's right, all the tasks Neo displayed in its media demonstration had a human operator in control via a VR set, helping Neo complete tasks it can't yet handle solo. However, even with the human assistance via VR, Neo still struggled to do basic things like load a dishwasher. It doesn't exactly scream full dexterity and autonomy or meet people's expectations what a humanoid ought to be capable of. I mean, even I can load a dishwasher better than that. To 1X's credit, their promotional content actually does label what tasks on screen are being carried out by a fully automated system. The only problem is that there are very few examples of the humanoid carrying out tasks in full autonomy mode. If you've been around robotics for more than 5 minutes, this won't shock you. 1X describes this assisted via VR approach as Neo learning chores through teleoperation, a way to bootstrap skills by keeping a human in the loop. So, when the robot is out of its depth, a trained human could drive, and those sessions help train the robot's future behavior. So, Neo falls short of people's expectations when they think of a humanoid robot. It also raises real-world questions about privacy and security. I mean, are you okay with someone, even a vetted professional, seeing your living room through your robot's cameras when needed? That's probably a deal breaker for many, if not most people. But 1X says that the story doesn't end here. The company has been public about Redwood, its in-house vision language model designed to tie perception and action together on a humanoid body. The ambition is to turn today's assisted wins into tomorrow's natural competence, whether that means navigating rooms, cooking pasta, or fetching objects. So, has the footage of Neo convinced the masses? Well, no. But it depends what you expected. If you wanted a fully autonomous butler, no, Neo doesn't look ready to freestyle through a chaotic kitchen. But it has displayed an ability to carry out some basic tasks autonomously, such as following orders to get the door or put away dishes. It may not seem like much, but it is some meaningful progress in the pursuit of a helpful humanoid robot for your home. So, although the jokes about Neo write themselves, if nothing else, this has sparked conversation about how far away we might be from the real thing. But before we speculate on that, it's worth asking how on earth we even arrived at this stage in the first place. If the launch of Neo feels sudden to you, well, it isn't. 2 decades ago, Honda's Asimo was the friendly face of humanoids, walking, waving, and even pouring drinks. Then in 2018, Honda quietly ceased development of Asimo to focus on more practical tech. That told us the cute demos wouldn't cut it without real jobs to do. The next big push came from Boston Dynamics, which took its hydraulic atlas, famous for parkour, and replaced it with an all-electric atlas in 2024, explicitly for real-world applications. Electric actuators are cleaner, easier to service, and a better fit for factories than leaky hydraulics. It was a big change with a huge implication. The focus was less on backflips and more on repeatable work around people and parts. Money and compute then poured in. Figure AI is one such example. In early 2024, it signed a partnership with BMW to pilot humanoids on the factory floor in South Carolina. That deal put a proper automaker on the hook to see whether a biped can be useful on a line that usually focuses on conveyor belts and jigs. And the checks kept getting bigger. Just weeks later, Figure raised $675 million from Microsoft, Nvidia, Jeff Bezos, and others, and said it would use Microsoft's cloud to train the brains behind its bots. You don't see that sort of investment unless the bet is long-term. And it's not just Figure. Apptronik's Apollo has been showing up in pilots, including with Mercedes, doing pick-and-place and materials handling. To be clear, the demos are modest, primarily focused on moving this part from here to there, but that's the point. Factories care about reliability as opposed to flair, and that's where humanoids must earn their keep. Then, of course, there's Tesla. Tesla has been marching out Optimus updates and talking timelines, although these keep getting stretched. In April 2024, Elon Musk said Tesla could start selling Optimus by the end of the following year, so, like now, while also claiming the robot business could become bigger than cars. That vision is obviously delayed, not exactly unusual for Tesla, but it does appear Musk is dead set on making robotics a core piece of Tesla's business. And what's more, despite delays, it seems as though basic humanoids are suddenly everywhere, in labs, in pilot programs, and increasingly in workplaces, thanks to better AI, cheaper sensors, and a wave of investment. Which brings us back to the consumer question. The pathway to a helpful home robot will rely heavily on gradual progression, iteration after iteration. That's because existing humanoid robots generate much of the data, guardrails, and repetition that teach future robots how to behave. But whoever cracks it is set to win big. And of course, financial markets are placing big premiums on the companies and assets that they think will thrive in that future. And if you're confident you know who and what the winners will be, well then you have to check out the Coin Bureau deals page. That's where we have numerous deals and bonuses on various financial platforms, exclusively sourced for the viewers of this channel. You could find those deals by scanning the QR code on the screen or by clicking the link down in the description. They won't last forever though, so take advantage of them ASAP. Now, as we've seen, there's a fair amount of skepticism about home robots. People are rightfully asking, have these robots meaningfully improved, like actually? Well, the short answer is yes, but let's dig into it. Mobility and balance got solved first, no easy task. And now the industry is grinding on hands, dexterity, and semi-autonomous workflows. That shift from circus tricks to repetitive, useful motions is a large part of why you're seeing so many headlines about humanoids. Well, that and all of the associated AI hype. Robots are leveling up on two tracks at once. Their bodies are getting more capable, and their brains are learning new tricks. On the hardware side, as we mentioned, the industry not so quietly ditched a lot of its finicky hydraulics in favor of cleaner, serviceable electric systems. That's led towards reliability, which is what real tasks or jobs demand. But things keep advancing in the home robot space, as companies race to beat the competition. Take Figure AI, for example. They recently teased a revamped home-first model with rebuilt hands and a sensory suite for kitchen-grade navigation and tasks. That meant palm cameras, a wider field of view, lower latency, and durable fingertip tactile sensors, sensitive to just a few grams. That will enable it to follow recipes and work in tight, cluttered spaces like cabinets and sinks. Then we have the software leap. That's arguably the more important and uncertain factor in the development of an advanced home robot. Now, there are a few approaches in play here. Some labs are training vision language action models. These are foundation models that map out what a robot sees and what you ask it to do into actual movements. Google DeepMind's RT2 is one such example. It learns from web-scale data plus robot demos, then turns that knowledge into actions like pick up the toy with generalization beyond the exact training setup. That sounds abstract, but it's the potential bridge between a robot that memorizes steps and one that can follow a plain English goal in a slightly new scene. The basic premise here is that developers are trying to train robots the way that they train AI assistants, on reams of internet data, and then ground that knowledge in the physical world. Ideally, the models start to infer which objects and motions are sensible for a given request, instead of, waiting for hard-coded scripts or calling for human assistance. But this is only one path. Many teams argue the fastest progress, especially for messy home tasks, will come from human-in-the-loop learning. As is the case with Neo, there are teleoperation sessions where a skilled operator drives the robot via VR. Those sessions become labeled action data that teach models what quote-unquote good looks like long before full autonomy sticks. Human-in-the-loop learning could be like the training wheels that make progress possible. Teleoperation sessions will continue to feed the action data flywheel. Most eye-catching demos have had a human behind the scenes at one stage or another, and that's a valid way to collect the demonstrations you need before autonomy sticks. Indeed, some of the biggest names are leaning on imitation. Recent reporting from inside Tesla's Optimus program describes teams recording workers performing chores from multiple camera angles, folding shirts or wiping tables, so the robot can learn by watching. It's gritty and manual, but that's expected for this phase of things. Collect different forms of data first and generalize later. So, do we need to reach artificial general intelligence to get useful robots? Well, no, not necessarily. What we need is robust task-level competence that change small skills into larger routines. Research out of MIT, for instance, has shown that combining separate foundation models for planning and perception can help robots break goals into steps and then execute them more safely. And all of this can be done without superintelligence and without Skynet taking over the world. Well, hopefully. So, as funny looking as Neo might be, robots are indeed getting better because we've paired sturdier, slicker bodies with smarter, data-hungry robot brains. But humans still play a role. And if we do reach AGI, then things get kicked into another gear altogether. But for now, helpful should be enough. Speaking of helpful, while progress towards a humanoid butler may be slower than many people would like, there are other realms where robots are doing much more than their fair share of work. To see that, we leave the kitchen and head for the factories. There, the biggest deployments aren't humanoids. They're special purpose machines built to do one job really well. By the latest count from the International Federation of Robotics, factories worldwide are running about 4.66 million industrial robots as of the end of 2024, up about 9% year over year. Most are arms and autonomous movers doing welds, paints, picks, and places. Not spectacular or sexy, but repeatable tasks that improve productivity and profitability. The hottest arena is logistics. Amazon alone can demonstrate how far this has gone. The company says it has deployed more than 1 million robots across its network. Drive units, sorters, robotic arms, plus new AI-assisted systems to route traffic and shave seconds off of each move. It's not glamorous, but it's the daily robotic grind of getting boxes to your door for same-day delivery. Elsewhere, big box retail is wiring up the back end too. In January this year, Walmart struck a two-part deal with Symbotic. It sold its advanced systems and robotics unit to Symbotic for $200 million. It also committed $520 million to fund a new AI-enabled fulfillment program for pickup and delivery hubs across hundreds of stores. Hospitals are another place where robots quietly dominate a niche. Intuitive Surgical's Da Vinci systems now assist in millions of procedures per year, with about 2.68 million performed in 2024 alone. These are not autonomous surgeons. They're precision tools under a doctor's control. But the scale and impact of robotics in the medical field can't be overlooked. At this stage, we even have so-called dark factories. What are those? Well, once you automate enough steps, you could run a plant with the lights off, literally, because humans aren't on the floor. They're not ubiquitous yet, but the direction is pretty clear. The more advanced robots get, the closer we are to absolute or near absolute automation. So, two things explain why the robots boosting productivity today aren't humanoids. First, factories and warehouses reward consistency over creativity. If a robot can repeat one motion all day without mistakes, management is happy to invest. Second, today's deployments are intentionally constrained with fixed fixtures, standardized work methods, and pre-mapped paths. Those constraints make deployments easily repeatable. Integrators can reuse the same designs, software recipes, and safety checks, so each new install is faster and less risky than the last. The repeatability helps broaden adoption. So, if you're looking for general-purpose behavior, you won't find it on the factory floor just yet. The wins are relatively narrow there. But that doesn't mean that they aren't coming soon. Remember, the automation of today would look like science fiction to someone from the 1950s. Development has gotten us far, and there's much further to go. But how much longer do we have to wait? When will the factory foreman be made of metal? When will you be able to kick back and have your robo-butler bring you a drink after he's done all your house cleaning? Well, widespread factory humanoids will likely come first. NVIDIA's Jensen Huang says humanoids could be working widely on manufacturing lines within the next 5 years, as software and simulation catch up to the hardware, and scale is already being built for that world. Agility Robotics opened RoboFab in Oregon with capacity to make thousands of their digit humanoid robots annually, and eventually more than 10,000 units a year. Meanwhile, Wall Street is divided on how big this gets and how fast. Goldman Sachs put the humanoid market at $38 billion by 2035, which is ambitious but grounded in industrial use cases first. Morgan Stanley goes far further, projecting a multi-trillion-dollar market by 2050, with adoption slow throughout the early 2030s before compounding later. Take the numbers with a grain of salt, especially given the market exuberance around AI and its applications. But the direction of the trend is clear and undeniable. But what about the consumer side? When does a humanoid show up in your home reliably, affordably, and without a human secretly steering? The real answer, well, not imminently. It's logical to expect factory and warehouse deployments to widen first. As we mentioned, those data-rich pilots are exactly what helps to teach robots the behavior needed for household work later. Although Neo is expected next year, frankly, it's far off the mark of what people expect in a home robot. In fact, it's possible 1X is perfectly aware of this, and they're more focused on collecting data that will help train the fully capable humanoids in the future. For a reasonably optimistic estimate, the late 2020s look like small batch industrial wins. The early 2030s bring broader business adoption as costs fall and systems mature. And the mid to late 2030s start to flirt with deeply helpful home robots for all manners of household chores. So, factories first, homes later, with prices going down as the parts get commoditized and the software learns from millions of repetitions. As far as price goes, Elon Musk has floated a long-run target of under $20,000 for Optimus once scaled. That's not a promise, and the timeline has slid before, but it sets a target for where a mass market player thinks the bull could land if volumes and supply chains were ramped up. Now, whether we can prevent all of this from going the way of Terminator or iRobot is another question altogether, and it probably deserves a video of its own. But that's going to be it for today's video. So tell me, what do you think? Are humanoids about to change the world? Or is this all just hype? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. And of course, if you enjoyed this video, give it a like, subscribe to the channel, and share it with anyone that you think might enjoy it. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you again very soon. This is Lewis, and I'll see you next time.